Hey, what's up, Rockets Nation? This is At Slaughter bringing you the weekly Rockets overview for the week of January 8th through the 14th, 2025. Unfortunately, we only had two games to talk about because of the bad weather here in Houston or here in Atlanta that canceled the Hawks game on Saturday. We have two games against the Grizzlies, one at home, one on the road, that make up the entirety of the statistics for this weekly overview. As you can see here, the offense chugging right along. It was an improvement in the offensive rating, 117.7, 57.3 true shooting, 44.6 from three. The assist to turnover ratio did dip to 1.36, which is 28th on the week. Rebounding percentage first, as is customary for our team, and the pace was an uptick to fourth. So I think there's some things we can take away from our games against the Grizzlies. Some things that I don't really think we can take away from the games against the Grizzlies, and just some general thoughts about what I hope to see over the next few weeks. Excuse me, as this team develops its chemistry and with the men in the starting lineup, and kind of an explanation for what I think are some discrepancies in the numbers, or maybe even not even a drastic change in some numbers that you would expect to have changes in. So let's dive right into it. The O rating, 117.7. The Rockets shot 44.6 from three. That's obviously not going to happen again. Jalen's on an absolute heater. Cam shot the ball, well in the second game. I think Aaron Holiday even knocked down some shots. Fred is starting to come around shooting and picking his spots better. So I wouldn't anticipate the team shooting that well, obviously. And so I think that the Rockets probably offensively overperformed based on that. It seems like one huge reason why the true shooting wasn't higher than 57.3 is because of the 15 missed free throws in the first game, and they even missed a handful in the second game against Memphis. So that accounts for some of it. Outside of Jalen, I feel like the team struggled to finish against the Grizzlies, which to be expected with JJJ out there. So I'm not going to penalize them too much for that. The assist to turnover ratio, I think, is a little bit concerning. I would like to have more information about that because, the Rockets upticking the pace to fourth, which is the Grizzlies are the fourth fastest team or I think the first or second fastest team in pace this year. So I would anticipated that the turnovers would go up, and I don't think that the assist numbers went down. So I think that the increased amount of turnovers is probably what caused that to happen. And I think generally that is okay. I know that Ben DuBose had the crazy statistic about the Rockets are 4-0 when they commit 20 or more turnovers, which is probably just dumb luck. But I think there is something to the fact that they're a little more creative. They're a little more free. They probably just play a little bit better offense whenever they aren't so confined in the Fred VanVleet offense. One thing I did want to note, and I found a little bit interesting, I have an explanation for it, but I talked a little bit last week about Fred's usage percentage dropping down to in the teens. He's basically been 15 or under in the last 5 or 6 games, and that continued with the Memphis games as well. And but Jalen's usage percentage hasn't really gone up. It's gone up marginally, 26 to 29 or something like that. Nothing crazy. I think a big part of that is having a min in the starting lineup. And if they were to take a min out of the starting lineup, I would imagine Jalen's usage would skyrocket. Or at least that's why I imagine what happened. Or Jalen and Şengün's usage would skyrocket if they plan on keeping Fred VanVleet out of the way, or taking a step back. But I'm not even sure that's really reasonable, to be honest. So I think part of the reason that Fred is taking a step back is because of Amin's insertion into the lineup, and he's been finishing plays at the rim. He's been making passes. He's starting to really get into that bag that we expected him to have coming out of OTE. where he's really sucking in the defense along the baseline, making very athletic jump passes out to shooters. He's pushing the pace off of misses, off of makes. He's just making things happen. And so I think he sucked up a fair amount of the usage that Fred was having. And so if you substitute Jabari back into the starting lineup for Amin, I think it totally changes the dynamic and makes it where we have to rely on Fred more. So that's just something to look out for. Overall, but and again, Amin handling the ball more, I think, is another reason why the turnovers have gone up. I'm sure the assists have gone up a little bit too, but not as much as the turnovers. So, but I would like to see that, we played really slow the 2 weeks prior to this. We played really fast last week. So I would like to see some more data on how a more natural or neutral kind of pace week looks for this team and how that affects the turnovers, if at all. Other things I would like to see happen is with Jalen and Amin both being in the starting lineup, Şengün really needs to look to be more of a play creator as opposed to a play finisher. And I think he's really honed in on the role of a play finisher. He's kind of had to do a lot of whatever the Rockets have asked him to do. And he's been malleable and creative in doing so. But I think we're asking him to change it yet again. And so I think he has struggled with that a little bit. And he's going to need some time to adjust. And you saw Steven Adams, though, right? He made multiple passes in that game last night where he got the defense in. He either made a lob over the top or he made a nice pass to Amin from the dunker spot, kicking it out to threes, making good, crisp, quick decisions. And that's exactly what Şengün needs to do. And his assists, he could probably average like 8 or 9 assists. And even if his points go down to 14 or 15 a game, I would still consider that to be substantially more effective than what he's doing now, where he's drawing double teams and triple teams in the paint and forcing up bad shots, or just, getting the short roll and not making the read to the right shooter, so on and so forth. So maybe I'm being a little harsh on him, but I like to give him some grace because I think he's having to change his role again. And so, and I honestly, I think Şengün as a creator is more in his wheelhouse than this post-up fiend that's, trying to score on every possession. So I think he will actually, I think Amin in the starting lineup is actually going to help him, even if it messes with the spacing, because while the spacing isn't as good, the fact that everyone is moving around more often creates more problems for the defense than just having some more space because Jabari's standing out in the corner. But if they put Jabari back in, we'll see how that changes things. My gut feeling says that they would go back to not a Fred-centric offense, but I bet his usage ticks up into the low 20s or something like that. Defensively, I think we learned a little bit more about the team, and I am willing to say that this is more useful information. Much like the Rockets, I think the Grizzlies got a little lucky, and I think the Rockets' defense played better than the statistics indicate. Again, 9th in frequency. I love this because this means that even though the pace was really high, the Rockets didn't surrender more three-pointers. They stayed true to who they were. And I think that it was artificially high to an extent because they allowed Ja to shoot like 10 threes. And they just let him shoot whenever he wanted to. So as you can see that despite the fact that they were 9th in three-point frequency, they had an effective field goal percentage they gave up was 58.6. To me, that means that Memphis was probably finishing a little bit over their head in both at the rim and from three-point range, which honestly it seemed like the case. I felt like they kept saying it on the telecast, but that Memphis was hitting some grenades in both games that they really should have made, and I think that's true. So I don't know. There's like something in my throat. It's killing me. But I'm going to try to get through this. And then again, the stocks is like something I don't really think we can take a lot from last week. I mean, I do think Amin being in there is going to create more havoc, and they are going to get more steals. But the Grizzlies are a high turnover team. Rockets led the league last week in steals with 15 steals per game. That's excellent. I just don't think it's something we can bank on. And I think we need some more games to kind of see where this is going to normalize over the course of a season if we were to kind of like, draw it out. The defensive rating, you played one of the best offensive teams in the league. They got a little bit of shot luck, in my opinion, and you still finished 13th in the league for the week. I mean, that's excellent, right? You would take that every time. They were probably closer to 9th or 10th, if they shot a normal percentage from 3 and at the rim. Generally speaking, I think offenses have gotten a little better over the course of the season as they've gotten used to how the refs are calling the game, and how defenses are taking advantage of the new physicality in the league. So, the fact that it's this high doesn't totally bother me. And then the rebound percentage, again, they just weren't missing shots. We had less chances to rebound the ball. Generally speaking, I think it's something that we got to do better. I called out Cam last night. You're like a 6'7" beast of a man-child, and you have like one rebound in your 21 minutes. Like, that can't happen. You got to rebound the ball better. Amen's been rebounding well. Şengün's doing what he's supposed to be doing. I know we're a small team, and Steven Adams is helping on that front too. But we got to rebound the ball a little better as a team, and that includes everyone from Fred down to Aaron Holiday. So I think that if obviously the team's playing well, there's nothing we shouldn't be looking at anything negatively. But I think on the defensive end, I think we should be even more thrilled about how they're playing defense, because I think they played better than the statistics indicate against an excellent offense in a fully healthy Memphis Grizzlies. So what to expect moving forward from the defense? Tari coming back is obviously going to help things if that ever happens. Whenever they bring Jabari back in whatever role, Jabari has always been kind of an interesting bellwether to me on the defensive end and on the offensive end, but I'm not sure how it's all going to fit in with how they're doing things now. Defensively, whenever he rebounds the ball well, I really do feel that our defensive rating in those games is probably really, really low. I feel like we are, if he brings that energy, it's like a defensive X factor. So I'm hoping that still sticks, and with him coming back, we'd probably also get a few more blocks. So maybe we're a little higher in the league in the stocks front moving forward. But ultimately, I think that the defense passed an enormous test this weekend. I consider that a huge check, a huge plus, huge success, and it's another feather in the cap of this defense being very real moving forward. As everyone knows, the Rockets are sitting in the catbird seat for the 2 seed. They now own the tiebreaker with the Grizzlies moving forward. If the Rockets finish as the 2nd or 3rd seed, you should expect them in the second round of the playoffs. And if they face Memphis in the playoffs, then that series is going to be absolutely popcorn. I mean, it is. Boy, were those games fun, weren't they? I think that the big thing is that they got to continue forcing turnovers, especially if the offense isn't going to be as crisp or as protective of the ball. And they're doing that. So we'll see. If you have any comments, please let us know. I think we have 4 games the next time we talk, so we'll get a good amount of data. I think over the next 3 weeks we'll learn a lot about this team, especially as they have 12 of the next 15 on the road against a lot of good teams. We're definitely going to learn a lot, and I'm pretty excited to bring that information to you guys, so that you can all use in your Twitter debates. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Rockets Round Robin, and don't forget to tune in for the pregame and halftime shows that come with every game. Until then, we'll chat later. Peace.